Hi guys, I'm Holly and welcome to Pilates PT. This workout will be a 30-minute Trimester 2 routine that will focus on strengthening key areas of the whole body. This is a perfect routine to slot into your workout schedule if you're pregnant and will help you develop the strength you need for pregnancy and labour. I'm currently 27 weeks pregnant, so this workout will be suitable for any stage of Trimester 2. Throughout my pregnancy, I'll be uploading new trimester-specific workouts each trimester. If you like workouts like these and want to get notified, then please subscribe and hit the notification bell below. All you'll need for this workout is a mat and some water to keep hydrated. Oh, and make sure you hang around at the end of the workout for an exclusive offer. If you're ready to work out, then let's get started. So first of all, let's come to the middle of our mats, and I'd like you to try and find a relatively neutral start position. So by neutral, I'm talking about some sort of middle ground. The posture's neither too hunched, too far forwards. We're finding that relatively neutral position. So first, we're going to look at the feet, and we're going to bring them to about hip width apart and parallel. Then I want you to think about your knees. I don't want them locked, but I also don't want them bent. Let's just have the knees a little bit soft. Think about your pelvis almost like it's a bowl of popcorn. Let's try not to spill the popcorn too much, so find a middle ground here. The rib cage should feel like it's roughly stacked above that pelvis. Your arms are by your side, you're showing off your collarbone, and your eye line is straight ahead. So once we've found this position again, it's kind of like a middle ground. We should feel like our skull is over our rib cage is over the pelvis, and the pelvis is roughly over the arches of your feet. Now it doesn't need to be perfect, but you'll hear me referring to neutral throughout the class, and this is roughly what I'm after. Now bring your hands into prayer position at your chest, keeping those shoulders nice and relaxed, and we're going to go into my first exercise, my favourite exercise, hip hinges. So first of all, we're going to start pushing our bums backwards, and we're going to start hinging at the hip, almost like you're bowing, and you'll get to a point where you can't go any further. And the reason being is that the postural chain is in a stretched position. So right now, my calves, my hamstrings and my glutes are being lengthened. I can feel that they're being stretched. Try and keep your back nice and neutral. So just watch that you're not hunching over, and you're also not overextending your back. You're trying to keep it in that neutral position we just found. Now on your next exhale, push your feet down into the floor, and that will start to pull you back up until eventually you reach that neutral position we just found, and then we go again. So we're going to inhale, hinge at those hips, push the bum back, find that end point, and then as you exhale, press your feet into the ground to come back to your start position. Inhale, we hinge, and exhale, we press ourselves back to neutral. So we call this a hip hinge because the only joint that should be changing right now is the hip joint, and we're hinging on it. We're flexing at the hip, and then we're extending at the hip. And this should fire up your hamstrings and glutes. They're your hip extenders. So as you press into the ground, they open the front of your hip. Now your back is working really hard here as well, because if it weren't, we'd be hunching over. Gravity would be pulling us into flexion. So instead, we're trying to maintain a nice neutral spine, and that will encourage the spine extensors to do some work. Now, all these muscles that I'm talking about are really important during pregnancy. They're going to help support your posture as your bump gets inevitably heavier and bigger and more cumbersome. Now we're going to do 3 more of these, warming up the back of those legs. Last 2, we inhale as we hinge, and we exhale as we push up. Now we're going to do 1 more, and then on the next one, I'd like you to stop about halfway. So we're going to come out onto a sort of half hip hinge, and we're going to stay here. Now there's going to be some of us that feel this in our lower back, okay? Particularly if you already have a very grippy lower back. If that's you, there's a few things you can just quickly try, because we're coming back to this in a minute. You could try a little bit of a tucking under so that you're not overextending that lower back. And you could also try activating your abdominals. So first think about doing a little pelvic floor lift, and then almost kind of hugging your bump in using your abdominals. And that will give your back some support. Otherwise, we're going to hold it here for 5 more seconds, building our endurance. 3, 2, 1, come back to standing and just have a quick wiggle and a quick shake out. Now it's normal for you to feel your back working because it was working, but if it was uncomfortable or painful, rest or remember those tricks I just taught you, because we're going to come back into that position now. So first, find neutral again. Bring your hands to prayer, come out into your half hip hinge, and then I'd like you to soften your knees a little bit into a little baby squat, okay? So we're not sat all the way down astergrass, we're quite high up, and it's almost like we're sat on a stool in a bar. Now I'm going to show you from another angle. I'd like you to shift your weight over to your right foot. You're going to lift up your left heel, you're going to tap your foot out to the left and then tap it back in. Tap it out to the left and then tap it back in. So we call this side scooter. Now we're still loading this right leg, and that right leg should be staying nice and still. Try and keep your pelvis level, so just watch there's not too much hip drop going on. And if you're struggling with any pelvic girdle pain and this is not comfortable, you could slide your foot along the floor so that you're keeping some extra contact and it's less loading of this single leg. Now, if you want to work harder, you could reach your arms in front of you as long as it doesn't make your back sore. And then another option is taking your arms the opposite direction, but not allowing yourself to be pulled into rotation by it. So stay nice and still. We're going to do 3 more of these. Good, last 2. So we've got 1 more. We're going to come back to the center. We're going to hold it here for a second. Now, take that left foot out to the side again. And if you can, lift it and hold it. 3, 2, 1, and walk it off. And you should really feel like you want to walk it off because that hip felt like it might fall off. So you should have felt it in the side of your hip, maybe a little bit around the back of your glutes as well. So give your leg a quick shake out. Now we're going to stay on this right leg, okay? We're going to come back to standing in neutral, hands to prayer. Shift your weight over to your right foot, so the same leg that was just tired. Just watch you haven't locked out your knee, and then from the side, all we're going to do is we're going to start to lift our left leg up to tabletop position. Then inhale, lower the toe to tap to the floor. Exhale, lift that left leg up to tabletop. Inhale, lower the toe and tap the floor. And we're going to keep this going. Now, hopefully you can see from the side here that my pelvis is staying quite still. So what it isn't is this and then this, okay? We're trying to keep the pelvis fixed and it's only the left leg that's moving. Showing you from the front, keeping my hips level. My left hip flexor is lifting the leg and my stabilizers are keeping my pelvis still on that right leg. So there's a lot going on in both hips, but just different things, different challenges. So we're going to do 4 more of these, or rest if you need it. Final 3. Exhaling as you lift. Last 2, and then I wonder on the last one if we can lift and hold, and then stay. Good, so right hip's holding your pelvis upright on a single leg. Left hip flexors working. 3, 2, 1. And again, have a walk around. Have a wriggle. Do what feels good for you, even if that is a bum wiggle. Now, last exercise for this leg. So if you're struggling with pelvic girdle pain, please feel free to have a break. You don't have to do this next one, but this will be the last one for this leg. So we're going to load our right leg one last time. Don't lock your knee. Now with your left leg, you've got options. You can just rest your toe on the floor for support. Harder is bringing your leg off the floor. Now your hip flexor might be knackered by now, so feel free to keep the toe on the floor. Now if you look at my hips right now, hopefully they're level. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop my left hip. I'm going to allow my right hip to push to the right. So I've lost neutral, I'm no longer level. And then I'm going to use my right leg to push into the ground to bring my hips back up. So they start level, I let my left hip drop, I push my right hip to the right, then I try and correct myself. So let me show you from behind. So I drop, this right hip's going to the right, I'm not level anymore, but then I use my muscles to correct. So it's a hip drop and then I correct. Now from the side, you might find that your right knee is trying to bend because it has a similar effect. It looks similar, but it's cheating. So don't do it. Try and keep your right leg straight, but not locked, and feel this right hip working to correct you. 4 more. So this is about, if you have a hip drop, it's learning how to correct it. Okay, 2 more. Lovely. 1 more. Finish back at the top. Have a wiggle, have a quick shake out. And again, we should have felt it here. Your glute med was helping with your correction, okay? So again, really helpful for supporting the pelvis as our bumps get heavier. Now, sadly, we've got the other leg to do. So we're going to come right back to the beginning. Find neutral, hands to prayer, do a half hip hinge and hold for a moment. Can you feel your right side more? Because A, it's tired, but B, it's also been woken up. And then just do your corrections. So remember, if your lower back does get a bit twitchy, you could tuck a bit, you could engage a bit. Now this time we're going to sit down into a little baby squat. We're going to shift our weight to our left leg and we're going to lift our right heel. So we tap the foot to the right, we tap it back in. We tap it to the right and we tap it back in. So once we start moving that right leg, we're loading our left leg more. This will tell us if we have hip drop. It's not the end of the world if we do, because we know we've got an exercise coming up to help it. If you want to work harder, you could reach your arms out, but it's not a great option if your back already takes over because you're giving it more work to do. If you want more, take the arms the opposite direction, and it's an anti-rotation exercise. So what we don't want is to rotate with it. We want to try and stay nice and still. So remember, using your core a little bit here, or using your abdominals at the front, is going to give your lower back some extra help. So if your back is tired, activate your core. Let's do 3 more. Remember, we've got a hold coming up if you want it. You don't have to do it. 1 more. Bring it back to the center. Hands back to prayer if they're not already. Put the foot out. When you're ready, if you can, lift it up. Hold it there. 3, 2, 1, and rest. And you should want to move. You should want to flush it out, okay? Because you should have felt that left hip working really hard to keep the pelvis still on that single leg. It lost its right leg, okay? And so you had to use your left hip more to support your pelvis. So have a quick shake, then we come back to standing in neutral. We shift the weight to the left leg, but don't lock your left leg off. Find neutral, and then you slowly lift your right leg to tabletop, and then you tap the toe to the floor. Exhale to lift, and inhale to lower. So from the side, trying to stay nice and neutral, because what we want is the leg moving in the hip socket, not the pelvis moving, okay? That's not what we're after. So the pelvis is staying still, and it's the right hip flexor that's lifting that leg up to tabletop. Using that exhale, lovely. From the front, thinking about those hips being nice and level, so not allowing hip drop if you can help it. Although sometimes it's impossible, but we just get stronger and better at not allowing it. And we've got 3 more. Good, last 2. So last one, we lift and we try and hold, okay? If you need a rest, take it. Otherwise, 3, 2, 1, and rest. And again, do what you need to do. You might find that you want to kind of wriggle that leg in your hip socket because it was having to stay still for so long. Do what you need to do. So remember that the next exercise is really great if you do suffer with a hip drop, okay? And you want to be able to correct yourself. So remember your options. We load the left leg. We can either keep the right foot on the floor or it's harder in tabletop, but your hip flexor will get tired. So we start with the hips level and then we drop the right hip this time. So my left hip has pressed to the side. I am wonky, and then I try and correct myself back to the top. So I inhale to lower my right hip down, exhale to correct. So can you see that my left leg is pretty much staying quite still, but I'm allowing my pelvis to sort of almost rock from side to side on top of it? Because a hip drop is going to be where the pelvis goes diagonal, goes wonky. So we need to be able to correct it. We need the strength to be able to bring it back up. So I allow a hip drop, and then I correct that hip drop. Good, inhale, dip, exhale, lift. So remember, with your leg lifted, you lose a base of support, you make it heavier as well, and your hip flexor is going to get tired. Let's do 3 more. Try not to bend your left knee. That is a really good cheat. We don't want to cheat here. Last 2. We might want to cheat, but please don't. Do one more. When you're done, finish at the top. Give your legs a walk off. Maybe have a quick sip of water if you need it. And then let's move away from the glutes and the hips for a moment. We're never fully done with them. And then we're going to come to the middle of our mat. And we're just going to take a moment to find neutral again. Now, quick ab exercise. What I'd like you to do is put your hands on your tummy. Whether you've got a bump yet or not, just put your hands somewhere on your tummy, probably around the level of your belly button. Find a relatively neutral position and then find your breath. And we're going to do a Pilates breath here. We're going to breathe in through the nose and then out through the mouth. Nice big deep breath in through the nose, noisy exhale out through your mouth, and just get that circular breath going. Then I want you to start exaggerating your exhale. So almost imagine you're trying to blow a candle out or blow through a straw. So it's and keep that going. Now, when we force an exhale, our abdominals tend to contract, okay? So some of us are gonna feel under our hands that when we exhale, we get a bit of a sensation of tightening or lifting underneath our hands. Don't worry if you don't. Now, keep that going. Then we're going to add in a pelvic floor lift on the exhale. So we're going to take a nice big deep breath in, and as we exhale, we're going to lift that pelvic floor. And on the inhale, we're then going to let that pelvic floor release. So exhaling for engaging your pelvic floor, inhale for releasing your pelvic floor. Remember, when you engage your pelvic floor, we're thinking about squeezing the anus, vagina, and urethra, so the 3 holes of the pelvis, and then lifting the pelvic organs. So it's a squeeze and a lift. Now, when we lift our pelvic floor, we get a co-contraction of our transverse. So again, we might start to feel something happen under the hands. Might feel our bumps draw in or lift, or a tensing of the tummy. It's not aggressive. We should still be able to breathe. Now, one last thing we're going to add in. Imagine you're wearing a corset right now, or a belt. On your next exhale, lift your pelvic floor and tighten up your corset or your belt. And then inhale, let it all go. So from the side, you might see some movement in me. I'll move my arms. As I exhale, I lift my pelvic floor. I imagine drawing my corset in or tightening up my belt. And on the inhale, I let it go. And we're going to do 3 more of these. Now, this is you activating your core. Okay, you're engaging that core, activating your stabilizers, really important muscles whilst you're pregnant. 2 more of these. Use your breath. And we're going to do our last one. We're going to try and engage our core this time, and then we're going to try and hold it there. So activate, pelvic floor's lifted, corset's tightened. See if you can hold that for me. You should still be able to breathe and talk. Okay, it's not aggressively bracing so hard that you can't breathe or smile. We've got control, but we can still function. 3 more seconds if you're still here with me. 2, 1, let it go. And just have a rest, have a wiggle. Okay, so I'm not expecting you to do that all day. In fact, doing that all day would not be good. But as we strengthen those muscles, they get better at helping to support you anyway. Now, come back to standing in neutral. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take our arms out to crucifix. We're going to relax our shoulders for a moment, and we're just going to hold it here. Now, elbows should be soft, and I just want you to think about what happens when you bring your arms out here. Do you start to lift your shoulders up and wear them like earrings? Try, if that does happen, to just relax them. Don't shove them down, but just relax them. And the palms are facing the floor right now. I also want you to make sure you're still neutral. So just watch that this hasn't happened, okay? Try and keep that rib cage over the pelvis. Now, when you're ready, I want you to rotate your arms so that your palms now face the ceiling. And if you have a look at your arms, let's try and get your little fingers up towards the ceiling. Get as much rotation as you can without leaning backwards, okay? So we still want to stay neutral, even though those arms are turned up. Now, turn them back down, turn them up, down, and keep that going. And I really want us to focus on the up, twist them up, rotate, because we spend a lot of our lives already with our arms rotated medially inwards. So think of every time you're writing on your laptop, you're using your phone, you're driving. So instead, we almost need the opposite, external rotation. Turn them up and twist without moving the rest of your body, okay? And you should be starting to feel something in your deltoids, the fleshy part of your shoulder. Some of us are going to feel the side of the neck, but remember, don't wear those arms like earrings. 5 more seconds. 3, 2, let's turn them up and hold them there if you can. I know it's not nice. Hold it for 3, 2, 1, and rest, and give those arms a quick shake out. Now, the reason this is important is think about life with a new child. It's lots of holding and lots of carrying heavy things. Now, once your arms feel sort of back to normal, come back to standing in neutral. Bring your fingers to your temples, elbows wide. Now, if your shoulders are really, really pooped, you can do this with your hands in prayer or your arms by your side. So let's see how you go. Now, from here, I'd like everyone to flex over to the left, okay? So bend your upper body to the left and then hold. Now, when you do this, try not to rotate forwards or backwards. Almost imagine you're in a toaster, and other than your bump, you don't want to get burnt, okay? So it's just a sideways lateral flexion. We feel a bit of a stretch down the right side of our waist, but it's not aggressive. And then I want you to think about where you feel that stretch right now. Use those muscles to pull yourself back to the top. Then we'll go the other way. So flex over to the right, hold for a moment. Just check you haven't leant back and overused your back muscles, and you're also not hunching forwards. And then where we feel the stretch, use that area to pull back up. So we're going to inhale, flex one way, exhale, pull back up, inhale, flex the other way, and exhale, pull back up. And so what we're doing here is, yes, we're getting some movement through the spine. So yes, it will feel like a lovely stretch or mobility move. But equally, we're working into our obliques here, drawing ourselves back to the top. So where I feel the stretch, I also then get a contraction. Lovely. Now, if you wanted to work harder, you could have your arms overhead. Just make sure the arms come with you. It's not you just kind of moving your arms from side to side. We still need that lateral flexion. And it's really difficult to talk and do this one because it is harder. So excuse the little mouse noises / pig noises. We're going to do 4 more. Lovely. Use your breath. Exhale to come up back to the top. 1 more each way, or kind of level yourself off. And when you think you've done the same each side, stop at the top, relax your arms, and have a quick wiggle and a quick shake out. Now, we're going to do another shoulder exercise, okay? Because as I said, we need good endurance, but we also really want to make sure we've got open shoulders before we spend all day like this. So find neutral, arms to cactus. So shoulders at 90, elbows at 90. And if you need a break before doing another arm exercise, feel free to pause me. Now in this position, there's a tendency to lean backwards, especially if you're very tight through your pecs. So just try and bring yourself back to some sort of neutral. And then have a look at your arms and just see how vertical you've managed to get them. Because it might be that they've tipped forwards because you're very tight, which is fine if that's the case. Now from here, we're going to rotate the arms so the palms now face the floor. And then exhale, rotate the arms so the palms face forwards again. Inhale, rotate the arms, palms down. Exhale, rotate them back to the start position. So what we've got going on here is rotation at the shoulder socket, okay, of maybe 90 degrees, but if you're tight through the chest, don't worry if it's less than that. What I don't want though is lots of this happening. I don't want it to be that your arms are moving because your back is moving. It should be that the arms are moving, yeah? So see if you can keep that neutral posture that we keep talking about, that we practiced at the start. So what do we feel? Hopefully we can feel the deltoids again, so that fleshy part of the shoulder. But the focus really should be here on turning your arms back, so external rotation again. So if we think about that position, this is how we spend all day, turned in at the shoulder. As we pull the arms back, we're turning out at the shoulder. We're doing the opposite movement, which is why it feels hard. And it's why we want to get that in now, before babies arrive, because we spend even more time in medial rotation when we've got babies, changing nappies, holding babies. We're going to do 3 more of these. Lovely. Relax your shoulders. Remember, don't shove them, but just relax them. That will hopefully stop it going up into the neck so much. Last 2. So one more, last one, I promise. We're going to come back to that start position. Maybe you're more open through the chest now. Maybe your arms are more vertical. Relax those shoulders. Breathe if you can. 3, 2, 1, and rest. And shake out those arms. Have a quick breather, have a quick wiggle. Now, maybe this is good news, maybe this is bad news. We're going to finish with a pelvic floor exercise because it's so important that we stay on top of our pelvic floor strength during pregnancy, okay? It's never too late to start if you haven't done anything yet. But we are going to be doing it in quite a challenging position, so just do what you can. So, we're going to start in the middle of our mats, and I want you to imagine that you're stood in the middle of a clock. So in front of you is 12, behind you is 6, etc. Think about your right leg. I want you to take that right leg and take it over to where you think kind of 2 on your clock would be. So it's almost like you're about to walk off your mat, okay? And what we've now got is a staggered, almost lunge position, and it's awkward. One leg's doing one thing, the other leg's doing something else. And the reason we're in this position is because we want to challenge the pelvic floor in positions that it's going to need to be strong in. Now, put one hand on your tummy, one hand on your bum. Your tummy might activate when you do your pelvic floor work, but your bum shouldn't. Try not to squeeze your glutes. Then find your breath, just breathing in through your nose, breathing out through your nose. In through the nose and out through the nose. Relax your jaw if you can. So we're going to take another nice big deep breath in, and then on your next exhale, I'd like you to activate your pelvic floor. So remember, we're squeezing the holes, lifting the holes, and just see if you can hold it there. We're aiming for up to 10 seconds, but whatever you can hold for is great. But do try and breathe. 3 seconds left. 2, 1, and then let it go. That's really important. Let the pelvic floor relax, and then have a breather. We're going to do that again. So take a nice big deep breath in, and then as you exhale, let's go. Squeeze and lift, and then try and hold it there. Try not to clench your bum. It's fine if you feel your abs tighten. We know there's a reason for that. We learnt that earlier on. If you can, keep holding for another 3 seconds. 2, 1, then let it go. Now this time I'm going to do 5 pulses. Just quick up, downs, okay? So take a nice big deep breath in. And let's go. We're going to lift the pelvic floor up, release, up, up, and rest. Come back to the middle of your mat. Your legs might need a wiggle, might have got a bit uncomfortable. And then we've got the other side to do. So you're in the middle of your clock. Take your left foot out to about 10 o'clock on your clock. And then just take a moment to get relatively comfortable, but it's meant to be awkward. A hand on your tummy, a hand on your bum. And we're going to do 2 holds first. So find your breath. Relax your jaw. Take a big deep breath in through the nose, and as you exhale, let's go. Lift that pelvic floor on the exhale, and then see if you can hold it there. Still breathing or talking, okay, because talking's breathing. For another 3, if you're still with me. 2, 1, and then let it go. Must remember to release the pelvic floor. Do that again. So nice big deep breath in, and then exhale. Let's lift that pelvic floor up, squeeze the holes, lift the holes. See if you can keep it there. See if you can keep breathing. I ask a lot, I know. 3, 2, 1, let it go. 5 pulses, and then we'll rest. So nice big deep breath in, and let's go. We're going to lift up, release, up, up, and rest. Come back to the middle of your mat. Give your legs a wiggle if you need it. And then let's finish with a lovely roll down. So find the middle of your mat, find neutral, take a big deep breath in, and as you exhale, chin to chest, peel down a vertebra at a time, arms are dangly, back of your neck is loose, and just hang. Now, if you feel you need more space for your bump, you can take your feet further apart. If it's too much, you can bend your knees and put your hands on your knees to take away some of that intensity of the stretch, but otherwise just hang, let it go, and allow that postural chain that runs up the back of the body that does a huge job during pregnancy to just chill out and have a quick breather. Nice big deep breaths in, exhale, just let it go. We're going to do 2 more nice big deep breaths here. And then when you're ready, take another inhale. As you exhale, just slowly start rolling all the way
back to the top, restacking that spine until you feel like you're roughly back where you started in the neutral position we found at the beginning. Have a bit of a wiggle, have a bit of a shake, and that is you done. I really hope you enjoyed that workout. You did such a great job. I was definitely feeling it in those moves, and I hope that you felt you got a good workout as well. I'd absolutely love to hear what you thought of it in the comments below. Also, if you like this workout, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the notification bell below. And finally, to support me, please share this video with any mums-to-be you know, or any communities that you might be a part of. I've also left details below all about the Bump Plan, my holistic prenatal online fitness plan that has supported over 30,000 women so far all over the world. The Bump Plan was designed so that you can join at any stage of your pregnancy, and what makes it truly unique is in all of your workouts, I'm at exactly the same stage of my pregnancy as you will be in yours. If you enjoyed this Trimester 2 workout and would like to explore how the Bump Plan can support you in your pregnancy, then I have an exclusive discount for you to use. To redeem £5 off a month off the cost of your Bump Plan subscription, simply enter the discount code MYBUMP at checkout. I've put the link below for you to sign up today. Thanks again for joining me, and if you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to link to the whole playlist of prenatal workouts so you can save it and go back to any of the workouts whenever you'd like. I look forward to seeing you again very soon on the mat.